everybody, I'm Palm Beaches Paul. Welcome back. I am at the South Florida National Cemetery and I'm making a little intro to this video today, and I wanted to do it here because we have the beautiful flags of all of our military departments up there along with the Stars and Stripes. Yesterday I had the pleasure of spending the entire day with the United States Navy for Fleet Week 2025. And saying that it was one of the coolest things I've ever done doesn't do it justice. It was an absolutely amazing day, but even more amazing were the men and women who I met. Absolutely true heroes, dedicating their life to military service, volunteering to defend our country, bravely so. And so I wanted to take a minute and thank all the family members of these brave men and women. All day I kept getting told yes sir, which just put a smile on my face, even though I was like, but I'm just Paul, right? I'm not military. Just so much respect out of these young men and women. And it was a true honor to be there. But also in the video you'll see that we went on the USS Cole that tragically was attacked in the 2000s, and there were 17 sailors who lost their lives. So I also kind of wanted to come here and sort of pay respect to those sailors and any military personnel who's ever given their all. So it was truly an amazing day. Let's go check out some really cool ships. Go Navy! So if I was to ask you, have you ever been on a Virginia-class nuclear submarine? Probably not. But if you watch this video today, you're going to get to see an exclusive view of one, because today I have the very unique privilege of going on the USS New Hampshire, a Virginia-class submarine, and I am at Fleet Week 2025 here in Fort Lauderdale, and I am super excited to bring this to you today. Hey everybody, I'm Palm Beaches Paul, your local realtor and guide to Florida living, and welcome back to my channel. That's right folks, I am down here for Fleet Week 2025. I've been invited to take a tour of a Virginia-class submarine. I am so excited, guys. I'm really tripping right now. This means a lot. Very, very privileged to be going on this and having the availability to video this for my YouTube channel. I am a huge supporter of our military. I grew up in San Antonio around many people who were in the military at the Air Force bases, and I've always had a big, love and support for our United States military. So being able to come down here and show you this is just a real privilege. It's an actual privilege to be able to go do it. I'm really excited. So I'm going to be going with my guide Mackenzie. She's going to take me through, and we're going to go in the sub in just a little bit. All right, so you can't just go walk on a nuclear submarine. You have to have a tour guide, and I have the distinct pleasure of being with Mackenzie. Mackenzie, you want to say hello and tell everyone where you're from and who you are?
Of course. Hello, I am Lieutenant Junior Grade Mackenzie Jeffries. I'm a Public Affairs Officer for the United States Navy. I was born and raised in Columbus, Ohio, and I'm here in Fort Lauderdale this week giving Paul a tour. So along with Mackenzie, who is allowing me to video, and she's kind of making sure what I film is allowed and not allowed, this gentleman is going to be our tour guide through the submarine today, the New Hampshire, and you are?
Hi, I'm ITR2 Material. I'm Communications Specialist on board the USS New Hampshire.
And he's going to give us a tour of this amazing ship. So I'm super excited, guys. This is going to be super cool. Never been on a sub, and I've got the privilege to go on board this and with these amazing men and women who are fighting for our country and supporting our country. And so, you ready to take us on tour?
Of course, let's go.
All right, let's go. All right, here we go. We're going on my first submarine.
So this through this door here is where we have E&E space, and then just aft is the engine room. The reactor compartment will be right there, so that's where our nuclear reactor is. That's going to be what provides us power and electricity for the entire ship. We are able to maintain underway indefinitely with the reactor. The only thing that limits us from coming into port is basically food. So as long as we have enough food to be underway, we're good to go. The reactor is able to keep us underway. So this is what we call the 6-man pods. So each one of these berthings here on the port and starboard side have 6 bunks in them. I'll show you this one on the left here. So this is one of the officers' bunk rooms. Most of those are going to be down on the middle deck, but this is just one of the bunk rooms that we have for the officers.
Tight quarters, huh?
Yes, it is pretty small.
There's no PlayStation in there? Come on.
Yeah, so 16.5 inches.
Wow.
Right, from the bunk to the top. Right, so there's not a lot of space. So if you're like claustrophobic, it's
not the best
you'll
situation.
Find out real fast once you start getting in the rack. And some of these, like these ones here, we have what are called coffin racks, where there's the foot space is down in underneath the foot locker here. So you normally, when you get up, you use the handles here, feet first, slide in, and then rotate in.
Cool.
Like I said, this is aft head. So we got the two toilets, 3 sinks here, and then the shower. Shower is approximately 29 inches by 29 inches by about 6'3". So if you're a tall guy, kind of hunched up a little bit.
Yeah.
This boat's actually pretty good about overhead space. So on my last boat, there wasn't as much overhead space. So a lot of the times we had guys that are like 6'3", 6'4", that'd be like developing like scoliosis, stuff like that. We had a couple guys get sent surface just because he was like 6'6", and there's absolutely no reason this person should be on sub.
Yeah.
But yeah, so submarine showers, the rule of thumb is like 2 minutes of water. That's what you get. So you have to turn the water on. Hopefully it's in the right temperature the first time. After you get used to it a few times, you'll know exactly where on the knob where to put it for your water temperature specifically. But you get wet, turn it off. Shampoo up, turn it on. Rinse out, turn it off, condition, and then personally I'll do condition and then body wash, and then I'll lather up, turn the water on, rinse everything off, turn the water off. Most important thing for showering is squeegee it down. So like, as you can hear this right now, this is the exhaust fan for it. It's not big. It's a tiny exhaust fan, and then it just blows it into the head. So it's important for moisture to be kept to a minimum on board. So when you're done with the shower, the squeegee's right there, squeegee the shower down. A lot of guys have not been doing that, so we've been having talks with the newer check-ins.
Can I get a little picture of that?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Right. So you said 2-minute shower. All right, Austin, do you hear that? I'm going to enlist you in the Navy, and then maybe then you'll take a quicker shower. You'll have no choice, buddy.
Alrighty, so this is what we call the lockout trunk. This is where we have some diver operations stuff. So behind this panel is where we might have divers come in. So this top hatch will be secured up there. That'll be shut, and then they'll climb in here. They'll do diver stuff, SEAL stuff, because this is the spot that all happens at. And then they'll shut this and then open the other hatch so allow the water in so they can get out.
So this would be like where if you're under obviously, and then they close this off and they can deploy and go out.
Yes, so that's why we have 2 hatches here. All right, so what we're standing on right now is actually a false floor. So as you can see all these bolts right here.
Yeah.
You remove those and the floor comes up.
Okay.
You'll see it again when we go down in the middle level, but that command passageway is also a false floor, and that allows the weapon shipping hatch, which is this hatch right here, to open up, and this is how we receive torpedoes onto the ship. So all of our warheads that we have will come through this hatch on what's called a deck skid, and then that'll lower hydraulically all the way down into the torpedo room, which is all the way in lower level, right? 2 floors beneath us. And then that'll get stowed appropriately, and you'll see the stowage down there when we get there. But yeah, so that's just a portion of like upper level. When that weapons handling is in process, they'll have like these lanyards here on both sides. These will get attached. So that
kind of seal off the area, right?
So it'll get attached so that way people don't accidentally fall over the false floor.
Gotcha.
The open deck, and then there'll also be a wash station here to make sure nobody's being dumb. So this is what we call cable handling. As you can see, not a lot of space here.
Tight quarters.
Yep. So there's a couple of different things here. We've got the fat line. We got the buoyant cable antenna. Just a couple of things get towed out, and we'll be dragging it behind the ship for various reasons.
Okay.
I can't really go much into like what they do and what they're for specifically, but this is where we handle them. This is the ATA that we use to crank out this cable.
Okay, so that kind of feeds the cable.
Correct. It's just a motor. So
Gotcha.
It comes in through the guide, and then it hits the motor, and it goes out the hull and back.
Okay.
Up there.
That's pretty cool. So this goes all the way up to the bridge. Look at this, man.
So that up there is where the captain and the lookout and the officer deck will be while we're doing maneuvering watches. Anytime the ship is surfaced, it is a requirement by international law to have a lookout as well as an officer of the deck. Those are the minimum watch stations, so there's 2 watch stations up there at all times when we are surfaced. So when we are surfacing the ship, they will obviously, these hatches, those upper hatchway up there and then this hatch right here will be shut. They'll have to rig for dive on the lower and upper hatches in order to rig the sail for surface. So there's an entire procedure and stuff that goes into that. It's very, very important. It's very slow and monotonous because if something wrong happens, it can be, the ship could flood.
All right, we're going below deck. Cheesy dad jokes. Look, I hit my head already. Yeah, sorry. All right, sir.
All right, so this is control. This is where like the brains of the operation essentially is while we're underway, and surface for that matter. So if you look around, you'll see these screens on the starboard side. That'll be our fire control stacks, and then on the port side we have sonar. These aft screens here, some screens for navigation. The screen here in the corner, that is going to be for the radar mainly. So when we're surfaced, the radar is going to be manned there. This is the navigational plot. So this is the only the only nav plot that we have on board. I know 688s will have 2, the port to starboard. Virginia's only 1. If we look forward here, we have the conning station. So this is where the officer deck will be at when we are submerged. They have a couple of screens here, and then they'll also have these 2 on the port and starboard side up there to look at. As you can see right now, we currently have one of the periscopes up, and I got the gain on this really high. So when we're surfaced, the periscope will be up. You'll be able to see it via Paravis. It's just an Xbox controller. You can just turn it, just look at things.
Wow. I was joking about the PlayStation, but you guys have, the generation who grew up, why not give them easier to use, right? Give them the controllers they're used to.
On 688s, you'll have hole penetrating scopes, so they'll be actually down here in control, and you'll have the handles that you'll have to go around with. So,
like the old style ones.
The old school stuff. Yep. Up forward, that is called SCS. That's where the pilot and co-pilot are going to be sitting. They are overall in charge of basic, ship's course, depth. So if the officer deck will give them a course change, right 5-degree rudder, steady course like 020. They'll give the repeat back, and then they'll use the touch screens. So up there they have touch screens, as well as these joysticks. So they'll take if they want to, fly by the seat of the pants, if you would, they'll take it off of auto, and then they can take over manually with the joysticks. It's basically just your basic flight joystick, left, right, up, down. So they can control depth and course that way. Most of the time it'll be in auto though, so they'll just input course, the order, and then the ship will just turn. Cool. It's all automated. All right, so this also with course and depth, you're also able to raise and lower mast antennas, with the exception of the scopes. The scopes are going to be on the box right here. So this box will have the scopes on it, or actually that box.
Okay.
So you can see the front of that in a moment. But it's just a button, raise, lower, so it's very intuitive.
Cool.
Also, you'll also be able to see, and this is mainly the co-pilot's job, is maintaining on air service airs, hydraulic plants and stuff, to make sure that we're able to operate the things that need to get operated for safety of ship. The stateroom, this is where the captain stays while we're underway, so he sleeps in here. Believe it or not, that desk here actually gets pushed up into this little crevice that you see there, and then these seats will shift down, and that's actually his rack as well.
Oh, cool.
So he'll have meetings in here, he'll have discussions with people, and then at night the CSs or whatever will come in and then make the CO's bed.
So the captain's really comfortable if he ends up going into one of those RVs, those small RVs, and he converts the table to a bed and all that. He's already set for it.
And then behind this door here, I'm not going to open it, but this is the COXO's head, so they have their own specifically just for them to share.
Very cool. Okay.
So this is what we call countermeasures. You'll notice that we have a primary and a secondary launcher. So this will get shifted, pulled out, and then you'll put any like sort of countermeasures. I can't really go into what those would be, but essentially they get loaded here, and then it gets pressurized and shot overboard if we were being attacked by a hostile entity.
Right.
So.
Okay. Very cool.
This is also Cobb's office. As you can tell, there's a computer right here with the monitor. So Cobb's. This is what we also call Cobb's office.
And what's Cobb stand for?
So Cobb is the chief of the boat. He is the overall most senior enlisted person on board, and he's like the captain's second right-hand man, essentially. So in anything that involves like enlisted personnel, he's the go-between between the captain and the enlisted.
Cool.
So
tell us about fish.
all right, so this is the fish tank. The gold is going to be for officers' fish, and then the silver is going to be enlisted fish. So this is the board where they're basically waiting to get qualified so they can get pinned and have their fish. This is a very important thing to submarines and submarine tradition. To have your fish is basically saying that I, as a person, know how to save someone else's life. And when it comes to like first aid, it comes to any sort of casualty, so like a fire, flooding, hydraulic rupture, any sort of thing like that, I have to know what we need to do in order to save the ship and save personnel.
So there's a lot of pride in having that.
Yes.
Awesome.
So we take it very seriously. It is a very lengthy process. It takes about 12 months in order to get your fish. You can do it in 3 or 4 if you have the time and your division doesn't really need you necessarily. If you're an overmanned division almost, you'll be able to have time for quals, and you can get through the process pretty quickly. There has been a couple of people on board that have done it in about 3.5 months. They get awards for doing it in that time frame. So
but regardless if it's 3 months or 12 months,
correct.
It's still an honor to have it.
All right, so this is the wardroom. This is, as you can see, where the officers have their meal. This is also where Doc will be doing his surgeries. So if there's any issues on board where somebody like passes out or like cuts themselves really badly, if it requires like an extensive surgery and not just like quick stitches, it'll happen here. So
really?
Example, we had recently some guy basically just passed out on watch, random.
Wow.
So Doc brought him in here, got him on IVs and stuff, was giving him a little bit of meds. We sent messages off so we can medevac him. But yeah, he was in here, and it was kind of crazy to see it. Not a lot, like, that doesn't happen frequently. There's not something you would typically see. But there's a reason why this is like where surgeries were getting done. So once again, taking my cover off when I walked in here is a sign of respect, right?
Sorry.
I mean, you're fine. You're good.
I'm a civilian still.
Yeah. But that's just to show respect for the people that might have potentially died on this table.
Wow.
So it's a little bit different from like the captain, COs, and officer staterooms. This is strictly to show respect towards personnel that may have or may not have died on this table.
Wow. So it's not just a place where they dine right in here. It's this.
Yeah. Doc is extremely like strict about cleaning standards. So these areas like crew's mess and the wardroom, these tables are cleaned very meticulously because people have been on this table and have had surgery, blood, whatever, on the table, and that's also where people eat, so you don't want none of that kind of stuff, right? There's also a TV here that officers will come in here and they'll watch movies and stuff as well. So we'll also do our turnover briefs in here. So like when we're underway, this is where we have our pre-watch briefs. That way we can have an idea of what the current operations of the ship are, what happened while we were asleep, and that way we prepped and know what is going to be expected during our next watch. Man, Pep said he's cooking food for the crew. Looks like we got chicken breast today.
That's the most important job right there, man.
Yeah. You gotta make these guys happy so they can do well. So behind me, you'll see this is Doc's space. This is where Doc keeps all of his stuff for surgeries, medical stuff. There's just a lot of different things that he's required to have on board, and that'll be kept in there. So the expectation is nobody goes in there unless they need to be in there, because there's a lot of drugs in there, right? So the only times you'll see anybody in there that's not Doc will be a torpedo man or a duty chief, because the small arms locker is right here. And so we have to get armed up for watch. This is where we'll go to get armed up. As soon as that evolution is done, that is secured, Doc has his space back, nobody goes in there.
He says this is an exciting portion, folks. This whole tour's been awesome.
So this is the torpedo room, right? This is where we have our torpedoes. So you can see, big orange. They're about 21 feet long, about 21.5 inches in diameter. They weigh about 2 tons. So pretty heavy.
And when you said earlier, when they come in from that hatch, did you talk about this is where they bring them down to here?
They bring them down into here.
Wow.
So you can't see it, but the false floor I think is over here.
Somewhere over there. Gotcha.
Yeah, towards the center line.
Yeah.
And then they use what's called rabbits and whatnot to actually move them horizontally. So they can actually lift these up as well as move them horizontally in the room. There are a lot of them, as you can see.
Yeah, this is
pretty
crazy.
much as far as the eye can see.
Oh my God.
So if you, as you see here, same number up top. So.
Wow. That's a lot.
So this actual torpedo tubes, and we have one open for you guys to see. These are the starboard torpedo tubes, so that's going to be tubes 1 and 3. And then on the port side, tubes 2 and 4. Even numbers on the port side, odd numbers on the starboard side. That goes into a lot of different stuff like valves as well as torpedo tubes. So what will happen is this torpedo will get loaded into this torpedo tube, and it'll go all the way up, and then they'll shut this door, and then they'll do their tube checks, make sure everything's good to go, and this is where it actually gets shot out of. As you can see, the torpedo men had some fun with this. They had somebody crawl in there and write ship's motto on the end. I've actually been in one of these before, and then one of my buddies shut the door on it. A lot of fun, actually. I just kind of sat in there for like half an hour, and then he let me out, and I was like, oh, that was fun.
They had you in there for a half hour?
It was fun.
No way.
It reminded me of home, if you would. I used to do a lot. I'm from Maryland. I do a lot of spelunking and stuff in my free time.
Oh, cool.
A place in West Virginia, and it's very compact. Like
You want to shout out to anyone out in Maryland right now?
Yeah, if my friend Gage is listening to this, I doubt, but if you're out there listening, that'd be cool.
Right.
Also my mom, my dad. I think my dad will probably actually see this, so.
Cool. Well,
wish you could have came, Dad. Would have been nice to see you. He lives in Pensacola, so he's actually not too far away.
Oh, nice. He's doing a good job, Dad. I know you got to be proud of him. Yeah, that's crazy. I saw a video where a guy did crawl in there, and yeah, there's no way. I'm not good with small spaces, so you would never see me going there, but wow, that's pretty cool.
Fun times.
Yeah, sure. Real blast.
So this is the weapon launch console. This is how they operate the actual torpedo tubes. So they'll do all their checks and stuff on this. They'll actually have like temperatures and pressure and whatnot for stuff. I'm not a torpedo man, so I can't really give a lot of details, unfortunately. But this is where all the stuff happens, and then they'll get the order from up in control. So like if we're gonna fire, tube 3, it'd be like fire generated bearing, tube 3, fire tube 3, right? And then they'll receive that order down here, and then they'll actually press the buttons and do the stuff. So a lot of this I think is actually touchscreen, so I'm not gonna touch it. I have accidentally bumped, I think, that bottom left one at one point in time, and Heiser, one of the torpedo men, was like, hey, what's this alarm going on down here? I'm like, sorry, dude. So this is another very, very important piece of equipment. This is what's called the ILPI. I can't really talk about how the process works, but essentially all this does is it creates oxygen, right? So it'll be water that goes through there, and then that gets the hydrogen and the oxygen to get separated. The hydrogen will go somewhere else to get utilized for another piece of equipment, and then the oxygen will get pumped back into the atmospheres for the crew. Very important. Does tend to run into equipment issues periodically as far as like card failures, but very important. We get it like anytime there is an issue maintenance-wise with this, it gets replaced and fixed like very quickly. This is
kind of important.
High-value equipment items.
Cool.
So these two pieces of equipment right here is the CO2 removal plants, what we call the CO2 scrubbers, and what that does, it just scrubs carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere to be utilized elsewhere.
Got it? Well, that was absolutely one of the coolest things I've ever experienced in my life. Thank you to all the crew and people of the USS New Hampshire. Thank you for your service. That was a privilege, guys. That was really it's not every day you get to go, and not everyone gets to go on the submarine. So the fact that I've been honored and allowed to go on it means a whole lot. So it's super cool. We're in between right now. Get a little footage out here. Mackenzie's taking care of a few things for work because she is working, and then we are going to go on a tour of the USS Cole, which is right there, and that one's got some not good history, sad history. That it was actually attacked back in the 2000s, but and we sadly lost 17 brave seamen on that, so that was tragic. But they were able to repair it, get it back, and get it back out, and she's still in service. So we'll go on that in a little bit, and then behind me, back over there, is the amphibian, and that is the USS New York. So which is really cool. And then of course there's the Coast Guard cutters. You have to get permission for each boat you go on, and they cleared me. See, they're green. They cleared me for the sub, and now I've been cleared for the Cole. So we're going to be going on that in just a short bit. But I wanted to bring this to you. I know a lot of you who watch this channel are probably ex-military, and or veterans, I should say, never ex-veterans. Thank you for your service. And I'm having a great day. So this is something they do here almost yearly. Sometimes it goes between Miami back to Fort Lauderdale, so you always have to check. But it's a great thing. You can get tickets and register, but you got to do it early to be able to go on the boats. So, all right, well, we're gonna go. Got some more to see, and I'm super excited. So we'll just wait, and we're gonna head on the U.S. Cole in just a minute. Put my shades on. He looks cooler than I do. But all right, so we're about to go on the USS Cole. As I told you, this is one of the ships here in the Navy fleet, and we'll talk about the history of it a little bit. But this is Austin. Austin is a chief, and because he does a lot of important things. So just introduce yourself, say who you are, and say hi to someone that you care about back home.
Hi, how are you? I'm Chief Officer Austin Caldwell. I'm a gas turbine electrician, and I'd like to say hi to my wife Rexella and my son Lucas.
Awesome. By the way, his name Austin, that's my son's name. So, so that's cool. I know it's in good hands. So he's going to take us on board where we have another one of the crew that's going to give us a tour. And I think we might be waiting for Mackenzie. She's going to meet us up there in a bit. But this is pretty cool. Now we're going to go on. Is this considered a destroyer class?
Yes.
It's a destroyer, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is a destroyer.
Arleigh Burke, guided missile destroyer.
Very cool.
Yes, sir.
All right, this is what keeps us safe, folks. So let's go on board. So my son's name is Austin, so that's pretty easy.
Oh, yeah, that's what we were talking about.
Oh, wow. That is so cool.
All right, so this is the aft missile deck. You see here, this is the aft VLS. This is where we can launch a variety of missiles.
Okay.
We also have over here the CWIS. This is our close-in weapon system. This is one of our guns on board that we're able to protect the ship. It can protect us anywhere in the air on this aft part of the ship. We also have one in the forward part of the ship to protect the forward part of the ship. Also over here we have our torpedo tubes. So this is another one of our weapons we have on board to protect us from any undersea threat that we have. So we have undersea threat for weapons, we have our missiles, and we have our close weapon system for anything in the air.
So those are submersible type, like if they had something was underneath coming at you, that's what that's for. They would deploy those.
Yes, sir. They would traverse and they would launch torpedoes into the water.
Oh, cool.
And then the torpedoes would neutralize the threat.
Austin, I'm actually allowed to lift it.
And are you allowed to lift it? I don't think we can touch it.
Okay.
So we're at force protection right now, so we were not able to.
That's okay.
This is our 25 mic or 25 millimeter gun. So this is also what we use for protecting the ship. Same thing back aft of where we had all the guns there. And then over
those
here,
are the ribs over there, you said?
yes. So those we call them ribs, rigid hull inflatable boat. You see, it's a rigid hull. Really, it's just our boats to be able to pick up people and pick up parts and drop sailors off and pick them up when we're out to sea.
If you got to go ashore or something,
Yep,
or
so
whatever.
there's a little crane that it's attached to, so
Yeah.
it literally just moves the boat over and drops it down into the water, and then they can pick it back up and bring it back onto the ship.
Oh, nice.
Yes, sir.
That's a mighty big gun. Hello, Emily.
Yep, that's Emily. That's a 5-inch.
That's a 5-inch?
Yes. So we were commissioned in 1996 in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So fun fact, we're back home. Yep.
Very cool.
Yep. So the ship namesake, we already talked about Daryl Cool. Some history about the Cool. We were attacked on October 12th, 2000. So we were in Aden, Yemen. We weren't even in port. We were at like a refueling dock. When you're pulling the ports, they usually don't have pier space, so sometimes they have like little anchor points that you can anchor to. So we were refueling over in Aden, Yemen, and we were having a trash barge come alongside. Back then it was normal for trash barges, just come alongside, we throw our trash in, and then easy day. But this time it was a terrorist attack. The trash barge came alongside right here on port side. And it blew a 40 by 60 foot hole in the midships. Whenever you go down into the ship, it's multiple decks, multiple spaces. It was actually at 11:18, which is during lunch. So for the 17 sailors that passed away, we have 17 stars lined across our mess line P-way, representing each star representing one of the sailors that passed away. Also from the bombing, the first flag on the mess decks is the flag that was flying during the bombing. They took that down and they put it on their mess decks so we can have, it there for the sailors, remembrance for the sailors. The second flag is the flag that was laid over the caskets whenever they did the burial at sea. So there's a description under the flag. It says all about it, but that was the flag that was laying over the caskets when we did their burial at sea later on. The third flag on the mess decks is actually the flag that was flying on board the ship when we returned in Aden, Yemen, after the ship was fixed 4 or 5 years later. So that represents the force and how strong the Navy actually is to be able to fix the ship and go back out and continue to fight. And then the fourth flag. So there was a strike attack done on one of the planners for the bombing, and the fourth flag is the flag that was flying on board that aircraft whenever they bombed one of the planners for the coal, representing us, moving forward and actually taking care of business.
Yeah, I like that part, taking care of business. Hey, look, they have a helmet that's thick enough for my fat, hard head. So I probably need this because I already told Mackenzie I hit my head. She's like, she's not responsible for me injuring myself, but I'm a klutz. That's okay. All right, so we're going to go inside. And again, we'll have some photos and we'll show you everything that he was talking about. And pretty cool. So we're going to go check out the inside. Wow, that was a super cool experience going on the USS Cole, the history, the tragic history about it. But love all those brave men and women, sailors on that. That was really cool. And I thank Austin for his time and showing me around. So now we get to go on the New York, which is an amphibious ship. And we're going to go check out this. This is really cool. It's one of the larger ships that are here. There's a lot to see on this tour. So we're going to go here, and I have Michael, who's kindly brought me over here. All right, so he's not camera shy. I mean, look at this guy. He looks like it's another. They're all Hollywood, man. All these guys are Hollywood. So, all right, who are you? Where are you from? Who do you want to say hi to?
I'm Instant Streeter. First name Henry, last name Streeter. And I'm from Tallahassee, Florida. So go Noles. Also, what's up to the frat? 06, and Mom, love you.
There you go. He's a true Floridian. We love that because, you know, true Floridian Realty. All right, but we're not here about that. We're here to take a look at this really cool ship. We're going to go on board and take a look, and this is the USS New York. And what's really cool about this, Michael was telling me, is that they actually have some of the World Trade Center here. We'll take a look at that. Again, you know, a lot of honor, a lot of respect, and this is a really cool ship. So we're going to go take a tour on this one right now. Let's go. So Michael handed the reins over to Blake. Pretty cool. We had Austin, who took us on the Cole, which that's my son's name, and Blake, my son's middle name. Blake, tell everyone who you are, where you're from, what do you do, and say hi to somebody.
Sure, sounds great. My name is Blake Pauley, originally from the town of Hudson, Ohio, a small town outside of Cleveland, Ohio. My job on board, I'm the operations officer. And
Before we were rudely interrupted by that commercial chat, sorry, we're going to say hi to who?
Hi, just want to say hi to my wife, Lindsay, and our two kids, Emerson and Aowen, my 4-year-old boy and my 8-month-old daughter.
Awesome. So he's not getting a lot of sleep. So let's give him not only respect for what he does and all that, but he's a young dad. So we all been there.
Yep,
so, all right, well, we're going to go on a cool tour of the USS New York.
The well deck, right? So the well deck is the core of how amphibious assault ships in today's Navy work. So we use a ballasting system very similar to how submarines work. So as far as we actually physically lower the aft end of the ship into the water and flood the space with certain levels of water.
Oh,
so,
wow.
If it's a what we call a displacement craft, meaning something that has a keel, think about your boat back at home, we need to lower it back a little bit more, sometimes up to 8 feet of water at the sill, which we call that edge right there, to actually get enough water to safely bring boats in and out.
Oh, wow.
What you're seeing right here is actually a version of a hovercraft. It's called an LCAC landing craft air cushion. That only needs a few inches. So that's hover up and down, and it'll just hover just a few inches off the water and fly out of the well deck. And the whole point is to get Marines and their gear to and from the beach.
Okay.
That's it, right? So that can be anywhere from amphibious assaults and raids. It can be anywhere from maritime assistance and disaster relief, or an evacuation of an embassy or non-combatants. So there's a wide variety of missions that both the ship and our Marine contingent do.
Cool.
And that is for anything that comes over the water, so the surface comes out the well deck here. Took 7.5 tons of World Trade Center steel from the wreckage, cast it into our bow after they melted it down. So the ship is was named New York, just like our sister ship Arlington was named after to honor those lost in the Pentagon. Somerset after Somerset County after Flight 93 that went down.
Right.
But we are named to honor the state and the city of New York and all those that lost their lives. So the 7.5 tons of World Trade Center steel is cast in our bow, and that place right there, that's our shipbuilders actually recovered that piece of steel and carved in the KIA from the NYPD, S.D.N.Y, and Port Authority Police Departments. You'll see this throughout the ship. This is a floating
cool.
memorial museum.
Yeah, a lot of remembering all those.
Sure.
That's super cool.
And for those of us, that were old enough to remember and witnessed it, like it carries a significant amount of weight.
What is that?
That's called a joint. So it's a JLTV, Joint Light Tactical Vehicle. So it's one of the routine vehicles that we embark.
So the commanding officer let you guys take that out and have a little fun one on the weekends? Just kidding.
I wish.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're going to continue our tour here, trying to be respectful of some of the, looks like there's maybe some veterans or some other people who are here that are getting a tour. So we're going to go, this is a cool ship, and wow, how amazing is that with the, maybe not amazing, but just incredible about the part for the World Trade Center and how that's incorporated into the ship. So obviously there's a lot of honor and respect and remembrance of that tragic day. But we're going up top deck.
Either 4 smaller aircraft like a MH-60 Sierra or a UH-1 Huey, or two large helicopters such as the 6 CH-53 Echo that you see right here. Yeah, sure. So this is one of the major types of aircraft that we routinely embark on board New York. So we can embark anywhere from an MV-22 Osprey to a UH-1 Huey, an AH-1 Viper, but one of the biggest ones we embark size-wise is the CH-53. So the traditional variant, the CH-53 Echo, is slowly being replaced by what you see in front of you here, which is CH-53 Kilo Super Stallion. This is what they call a heavy lift helicopter. So a significant amount of troops, combat loaded, can embark here, but they can also load a significant amount of cargo for the resupply of the Maritime Air Ground Task Force, or the Marine Air Ground Task Force. You can either do internal loads like what you see here as far as cargo inside the aircraft, or do what's called an external load, which is using a cable underneath the belly to transport vehicles or equipment via that method.
Fairly new vehicle too, isn't it?
Fairly new. This one rolled off the line in 2024. This aircraft has significantly more powerful engine, wider capacity internally too. Plus, you can see it's still got the new aircraft smell. It's pretty freaking sweet. So those of us that have had the CH-53 Echoes on board before are very excited to see the new hotness come to the fleet, and this aircraft is definitely that.
And no, you don't get like an air freshener when you get one. So, but it does have that new smell to it.
Absolutely.
Nice. Awesome. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, of course.
Just want to get a quick video of this, guys, because obviously this is honoring those who lost their lives. Which this ship is named the New York, and that's pretty awesome right there. Nice little tribute to them, and the door. And you say this is the what you call this?
This is called the forecastle.
Okay.
Forecastle, which if you spell it out in traditional way, is forecastle.
Okay.
But you shorten it to forecastle because,
Okay.
and you can blame the Royal Navy for that. We take a lot of their terms from them, like our that's where
Hey,
we got
don't
our
give them any
genesis.
lip if you're
No,
British,
of course
okay?
Not, of course not. Love our friends in the Royal Navy. They're great to work with, and they've given us a lot of our traditions stem from those days. But what you'll see here is not just the actual ground tackle that is what you traditionally have on a forecastle to actually keep the ship in place if needed, but you also see the view of the bridge and the weapon system. So our job as an amphibious transport dock is to get the Marines and the landing force from point A to point B so they can accomplish their objectives ashore. Part of that is keeping the ship actually safe as we get there. So all of our systems are optimized for the defense of our unit. Sure.
Did you did Ghost Rider get a flyby pass on that? I don't think Tower gave you a pass on that, Ghost Rider.
Yeah, I guess get a special pass for a flyover. So all of our systems are designed for the defense of our unit. So whereas you saw on the Cole, they have much wider range of kinetic capability for both offensive and defensive firepower. Our weapon systems are designed for the defense of all the Marines and combat power we have on board. So you'll see the rolling airframe missile battery, that's 21 missiles per battery. There's another battery aft that gives us 360-degree coverage, and that is a short-range missile battery that has some pretty agile and highly effective missiles to defend against anti-ship cruise missiles or certain aircraft. And then you'll see a 30mm chain gun up there too. We have another one of those aft as well for 360-degree coverage. That is a relatively rapid-fire 30mm cannon. Also used for defense against small boat attack, as well as helicopters and any kind of drones in the area. And those are our primary weapon systems on board, but you also see the bridge up there, and that wide bridge is one of the widest you'll see in the Navy. Great real estate and the best view.
Yeah, it's big, man. So you feel like you're on a cruise ship, sort of.
It is.
Except for the guns.
Absolutely. But
wow.
This is
And I see you got a couple other.
Absolutely.
Some other weapons up there, obviously,
Absolutely.
for protection.
So the old standbys for the U.S. military, the 50 caliber machine gun, as well as the M240 Bravo 7.62 millimeter machine gun. We have several of those mounts throughout the ship. So we try to layer our defensive. So you have weapon systems like the 30 millimeter gun, but they can reach out further to try threats at a longer range before they get in and get into the range of the 50 caliber machine guns and M240 Bravos as well. We're actually the only ship currently in the Navy that's named after a state. It's not a submarine.
All right, what an absolute honor it was to be on this ship, the New York, USS New York. Super cool. Everyone on there amazing. Talking to the military police officer that was right up front there. A really nice guy named Ricardo. We were talking for a while. I was waiting for my guide, but she'd already walked. But just this is so cool. So then in the back we do have a Coast Guard cutter, but we're not going to go on that. These were the 3 that we got to go on. So, but that was really cool, and I've had such a great time today. All right, that was truly awesome. That's all I can say. A lot of emotions. I'm a real patriotic guy. I love our military. I love our first responders. I always have. As I said, I grew up in a city that's surrounded by military bases. I have a lot of friends, family. I have clients I'm working with right now who are veterans. So it is something personal to me. And the amount of respect that I have for these people is unmeasurable. So having the privilege to go on a tour of these ships and having a private tour on the Submarine is just something I'll probably never forget. It was amazing. I want to thank everyone here, Mackenzie, Austin, Blake. Thank you guys for your service. Thank you so much for the sacrifice you make for our country. I know all of y'all have family members, and so thank you for that. It means a lot, and thank you for allowing me to ask dumb questions and be my goofy self. I hope you guys enjoyed this tour, because this was probably one of my favorite things I've ever done. So Fleet Week, they have Fleet Week here. Every couple years you just have to look for it. Like one year it was in Miami, then it didn't come back for a while, so you just kind of have to pay attention and see when it's coming to South Florida. If it does, you'll see there's a lot of people here like me that don't have a press pass, that you go online and you can get tickets for certain times to go on the boats, so you can go on tours. So it's pretty cool. And I would highly recommend coming and checking it out, or wherever you are in the world. If they have a Fleet Week, go by, honor these men and women. And obviously they're doing this because they're hoping to bring in new recruits. And everyone I met today was just, you just can't put a word for the amount of respect and how great these people are. So just really cool, and I had a nice time talking to everybody. So, all right, guys, like, subscribe, big thumbs up. If you like this video, please share it with anyone, to all those family members who might be watching and had the privilege of meeting one of your loved ones. Thank you. They're great people, and I appreciate what they do. And, hey, wherever you are in the world, and these people are literally all over the world, get out and enjoy paradise. We'll talk to you next week.